would be the procedure if somebody actually took the buyout, so they're young and healthy and they don't feel they need the insurance, which I would suggest everyone take it, take the insurance, but they get the 2,500 or whatever the buyout, the opt-out is, and then suddenly they get ill, they want to get back on, do they have to give the opt-out back?
They can only, you can only
Or is it not even an option?
Actually, it's not, quick answer is it's not an option. They can only get back on at the open enrollment period unless there's a qualifying event. So if I didn't take the health insurance, I took it through my wife's job. My wife lost her job. That is a qualifying event, and I could come back on that. And then what we would do is, so then what's that?
Would there be a penalty? Do you have to return the opt-out?
What we would do is we would prorate what it was, and then because what we do is when we get the $2,500, we don't pay that right away. It's broken out on the 20 equal payments. So if they come back in, we have to save them ahead of time.
Okay.
Were there any other items in the agreement, or was it just a financial agreement as laid out here that changed from their previous contract?
There were other small language items, but our requirement is to bring you, and I believe your responsibility is for the cost items. There are no other cost items.
The language items did not affect costs, is what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Is it possible for us to have a copy of the contract?
So the current contract?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So,
I can email everybody a copy. Actually, it's on our website.
it's on the website.
The current, not the negotiated.
So the new one would go up next.
After it's approved.
After it's approved.
Yeah, on the website is the current contract.
Yeah.
The tentative agreed one can't be posted until it's
They're approved and it has to be voted on.
So
then
we wouldn't see that.
It isn't approved until this warrant article is hopefully approved by the community.
So we can't read it before we vote on it?
The full contract? Well, I'll have to defer there.
You only vote on
You're voting on the cost item.
No, we're thinking of, she's probably thinking of it as a ballot item, whereas a citizen, not a budget committee
I
person.
believe legal responsibility is for us to report the cost items, and,
Right.
and
No, that's to
what
us,
folks,
yeah.
the community is voting on.
To the citizens, it's whatever.
So I'll ask the question again. Is the negotiated contract available for citizen review, not by the budget committee, but by ordinary citizens? So they can see. So citizens of Guilford have no idea what else is in that contract.
Those are the rules of collective bargaining.
This sounds like, sorry, Madam Pelosi, you have to vote on the bill before we see what's in the bill. Sorry, just fits.
Those are the rules. I mean, how long have those been the rules? We're not going to argue the rules.
Well, when you say negotiated, who sets that rule? Because this is the first time I've heard of something like this. Is this just because of what you have negotiated here locally, or is that set by RSA, or what have you?
RSA or not?
To collective bargaining rules.
Yeah, the collective bargaining rules.
Scott, do you want to come up and
Yeah,
decide as well?
Yeah, I mean, basically,
share the mic.
Yeah, basically what the RSA is in the collective bargaining agreement. What you do is you come up, and we have the legal responsibility to, actually it's through it's the Sanborn decision. And what that basically says is that the voters have to be made aware of all the cost items in the contract.
Right.
And then they vote on that. But it does, the collective bargaining process, it's not Guilford's, it's in general, doesn't get into all the individual line item changes.
Okay, I can understand while you're negotiating that it would be off limits because you have to do the negotiating. But at this point, you have a tentative contract by the school board, by the teachers association, teachers union, whichever it is, legally, that now is being put before the citizens. I don't understand why the citizens can't see what's in that contract. Yes, for the warrant article, we have to put the money impact on the budget on that. But I'm quite sure that there would be a number of people who want to peer inside that contract to say, what else are we going to be on the hook for?
We'll provide you with a legal opinion about that. I mean, it's not something we're holding back. I
mean, this isn't negotiation anymore.
Okay.
You've already negotiated.
This is, again, from DRA, from the regulations for how this is
Well-
run, we'll provide you with the
But from our-
background for where that decision came from.
From our point, I think you've made the point, you know, from the citizen's point of view, it makes sense to me they should be able to read it if they go ask for it. From our point of view, this is what we're dealing with, and then we're a citizen the rest of the time.
Correct.
So we'll do two things. One is we'll ask you to recommend recommend or not recommend
Yeah, this
the
is,
cost items.
this is what we
Yeah.
deal
And
with.
then as a follow-up, we'll get back to you with the legal precedent on what can be shared.
What can be disclosed before the vote.
Yeah, my
We'll do that.
recommendation, for what it's worth, is that it ought to be available, and you'll get 3 requests for
If,
it.
if something comes up different than that, we'll have that for you Monday night.
I think part of my issue with this is, you know, you're showing us a salary increase and that impact on the budget. And nothing until next year, or
Nothing
next,
until 13,
next,
14.
next school year.
No,
The-
the
the
school year
school
beyond.
year after, yeah.
2 years up.
Right, okay. But we're not seeing the other issues that could have a financial impact on the
They
district.
don't.
Yeah,
If
what
they
they're
did,
telling us,
we
they
have to
don't.
provide
I
them.
mean, like, sick days,
If they did, we have to provide them to you.
severance.
None of that.
Okay,
None of that's included.
Yeah, because otherwise they'd have to show
If
that.
it was, we'd have to show it to you.
okay.
Yeah, if it was.
And we would willingly show it to you. You know, we want to share with you everything we can about that.
So that's all status quo, and it's just a
Yes, sir.
salary that's changed.
There are other language issues in there that aren't legal for us to disclose here, but they do not impact salary or budget or allocation.
You know I have to ask. Legal to discuss here, or that legally you don't have to discuss here?
No, legal to discuss here, Skip.
Okay.
I made a commitment to everyone here from the beginning of this.
Yeah.
I'm not here to play any games. We're here to put what we can on the table as clear with you as we can in every
Yeah.
possible way.
I'm just trying to make sure I understand the
I'll be real
definition.
clear about that. If we were allowed to do that, we'd be giving you 30 pages of the contract tonight. We're not allowed to. Not by choice to not do that.
Okay.
So is there any more discussion on this? Or so what we have to do now is, the budget committee recommends or doesn't recommend. Now, as I recall, the ballot doesn't include the vote count for the school.
I'm sorry, Dick, it doesn't include
Yes, it
those.
does, it does now.
The ballot does not include the vote count for the school,
It
right?
It does now.
That does
It
now,
does
as of
now,
last
okay.
year.
Caught up to that, so. yeah.
Okay, so we caught up to that. So the recommend or not recommend will show by what vote count. Okay, so we're ready to, somebody make a motion on this and we'll vote on whether we support it or not.
I make the motion that we accept warrant article number 3 for the school board, for the school district as written.
I'll second it.
Okay, so, any more discussion? Good. All right, if you vote yes on this, it says that you recommend accepting this as presented here. And we'll do it by a count of hands. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 7 to 5.
Where were you? I didn't see.
I'm sitting this one out because I got my wife as a special ed case manager.
All right, so let's go do that again. All those in favor, raise your hands. Okay. 6. All those opposed, raise your hands. 5. All right, so it passes 6 to 5. Okay. Move on to the next warrant article is not something we need to deal with. Warrant Article 5 is the middle school and high school occupancy light sensors. We've already had a little discussion on this. Let's continue on with that discussion. Do we need any more from Tim?
They've already made up my mind.
Yes.
I'd like to hear if he has any, do you have any stats about return on investments, anything like that? New information.
I do not have a,
Up to the vote.
I don't have hard numbers, I have general estimates that are put together based on projected usage, but it looks like it would be a return on investment between 3.5 to 4.5.
So still is, right? Yes. Thanks.
Any more discussion? Somebody want to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to accept warrant article number 5 as written by the school district.
Phil?
I'll second.
I just naturally assumed.
Well, I just didn't want to.
Okay. So,
We have discussion?
yeah,
Okay. It's been my experience in industry, retrofitting, yes, you'll achieve some savings, nowhere near the savings if they would have been put in on the initial construction. The initial construction, when they were doing value this, value that, that was the time to do it. They chose not to. Right now, with times being tough, money being tough, taxes being tough, I think the return on investment is nebulous at best, and B, I don't think we should go forward with the expenditures.
yeah. My experience tends to back you up.
I'm just gonna make the comment that, you know, I don't think this is a bad thing. I just think in these tough economic times to spend nearly $75,000 so professionals don't have to remember to turn the lights off is not a good idea. And return of investment 3 to 4 years or 4.5 years, I think that's great, but let's go back and visit that in 4.5 years when hopefully the economy's better. So I'm a no vote.
Any more discussion? Okay, so a yes vote is supporting warrant, the budget committee supports warrant article number 5. All those in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2. All those opposed, raise your hand. Fairly easy. So we don't support it, 10 to 2.
10 to 2.
Are there any, moving on to any other business that we want to talk about before we close out the school budget? Yes.
Croc TV.